Welcome! If you've been looking to create a pre-recorded webinar funnel using GoHighLevel, you're in the right place. This tutorial will guide you step by step from setting up your domain to creating a seamless user journey for your webinar attendees. Let's get started. Hi there! In this tutorial, I'll show you how to build a pre-recorded webinar funnel. By the end, you'll have a fully functional funnel to engage and convert your audience. Let's dive in. Step 1. Set up your domain. First, log into your account and navigate to the sub-account settings. Second, under the domain section, either connect an existing domain or create a subdomain. For example, you might create webinar.yourdomain.com.
From that, the first thing that we have to do is we actually need a domain that we can connect with our webinar funnel. So first of all, we will have to add a domain. For that, we will navigate to sub-account settings, and then under the domains, here I'm going to connect a domain. If you don't have a domain, you are able to purchase the domain right from the GoHighLevel. But if you already have a domain, you can use that one, or you can always create a subdomain for that. In my case, I'm going to create a subdomain, which is going to be webinar.ghlboy.com. Just continue.
Third, add a CNAME record in your domain hosting provider's DNS settings. Paste the value provided by GoHighLevel and save the record. Fourth, verify the domain. Once verified, you can link it to your webinar funnel.
Okay, manually, I need to add the CNAME record. So you will have to go to your domain hosting provider, and then you can just add a new record. It's going to be, it would be CNAME, and the name is going to be whatever comes up before the dot. So it would be webinar.ghlboy.com, and I can paste the value that I copied from GoHighLevel. So let's just save it. It's updating the DNS. There we go. It has been updated. I just go back, verify record. It's gonna take some time depending on what domain provider you are using, but normally it would just take a moment to add the DNS. So let's just wait for it and see.
Step 2. Create a registration form. First, navigate to Sites and select Form Builder.
So the domain has been added. Right now, we don't have anything to link this domain with, so we can just go back. Now we have a domain here. Once we have created the webinar funnel, then we can link that funnel with this domain. So that was the first step. The second step is we need a registration form that we can put on the webinar funnel. For that, we will have to create a form. So let's just navigate to Sites and then Form Builder. I'm gonna create a quick form, start from scratch.
Second, build a form with fields such as first name, last name, email, and phone number. Make these fields required. Third, add a terms and conditions checkbox for compliance. Fourth, save the form and name it. For example, webinar registration form.
That you can always incorporate more custom fields if you want to ask for more information. So you have first name, last name, phone, and email, which is fine for me. I will just make them required. If you want to include more custom fields, you can do that from here. I always recommend to have a terms and condition checkbox. So just keep it, but it's up to you. Let's just save it. I'm gonna name this as webinar registration form. Save it.
Step 3. Build your webinar funnel. First, go to Sites and select New Webinar Funnel. Choose the On-Demand Webinar option. Second, name your webinar funnel, for example, 5-day challenge, and select the registration form you just created.
Start building our webinar funnel. And as I explained earlier, in this video, I will be only discussing about on-demand or pre-recorded webinar. I will create a separate video for the live webinars. So let's just go back, Sites, and on the top, we have a navigation that says webinar, new webinar funnel. And then here, as I explained, I'm going to create the on-demand webinar or pre-recorded webinar. I will create a separate video for these live webinars. So let's just hit on-demand webinar. And here we just have to put the name of webinar. Let's just call it 5-day challenge. Hit next. And so this is why we created the form. So here I'm gonna select that webinar registration form. I'm gonna hit next.
Third, upload your pre-recorded webinar video to the media library and select it for the funnel. Fourth, use a blank template or choose a pre-existing one. Customize the design with your logo, colors, and branding elements.
We have to select the file that we have pre-recorded for our webinar. So when you click on it, it's gonna drag you to your media library. I have already uploaded a video, but in case you can just click here to upload your pre-recorded webinar. So let's just select this one. It's gonna take a second to get upload. So here I have uploaded a video. Let's just hit next. And here I would recommend actually to create a funnel from the blank. But if you're not good at design, you can always use the pre-existing templates. For the moment, I'm gonna just pick a template. I recommend to use the to create the funnel from the blank, because if you use the template, maybe it's going to be hard for you to customize it in case, because they will have my different CSS or different.
Step 4. Configure funnel pages. First, webinar funnel structure. The funnel typically includes 3 pages. Your webinar registration page. Visitors sign up for the webinar. Your webinar confirmation page. Displays a confirmation message and a call to action button to watch the webinar. And your webinar broadcast page. Hosts the pre-recorded webinar video.
Anyhow, now here we have a webinar funnel, which is already been created with 3 different steps. So we named it 5-day challenge. Here we are. And here we have the 3 pages of the webinar. So let's just start from the first one, which is webinar registration. So as soon as someone register for your webinar, it will go to the next page, which is webinar confirmation. And then they can click on a call to action to go to actually see the webinar.
Second, connect your domain to the funnel's registration page.
And also, now that we have a funnel created, so now we can connect the domain with this funnel. So let's just go to domains. Here we have our domain that we connected previously. Let's just add it. We are actually going to connect it with this one, which is 5-day challenge, and I'm going to connect it with the first page, which is webinar registration. So just make sure you select the correct page. I would recommend you to create another page for the 404 error. So sometime if there is any kind of a server error, so it can drag you to that 404 error page. Right now we can leave it as it is. Save it. And now that the domain has been linked, so let's just go back to
third. On the webinar registration page, configure the form submission to redirect users to the webinar confirmation page.
We have the webinar registration page, so let's just open it and see what configurations do we need to have it there. So here is the builder of the template that we selected, and this is the form that we initially selected. But here you can always replace this form with another one, or if you have created a new form, so you can always select that one as well. Rest of the thing, I'm not going to through about that. You can just put your logo and play around with the content. But the main configuration is what we are going to do when they submit this form. So in this case, I'm going to redirect with a website URL. And in this case, I'm going to redirect them to this page. So I'm going to grab the URL of this page. If I just edit it in a new tab, let me just make sure that the domain has been connected with this one, 5-day challenge.
Fourth, on the webinar confirmation page, link the call to action button to the webinar broadcast page.
From here, as soon as it's get connected, we will have a domain URL for this domain. There we go. So now we can just click on here settings, and this is our path that is going to be attached with this URL. So if we just take the preview, here on the top we have the URL of the next page. So what I'm gonna do here is on the form submission, I'm gonna put this URL, which is webinar.dhly.com webinar confirmation. Save it. And let's just make sure that we publish it as well, because now that we have connected our domain with it, so unless we publish it, it's not going to reflect on the domain. So let's just save it. So that's our main configuration that has to be done on the main page, other than updating the copy and colors and all that stuff. So let's just go to the next page from here, which is webinar confirmation. So as soon as someone will register for your webinar, it will come to this page, which is webinar confirmation, because we have put the webinar confirmation page URL on the form submission. And then here it's gonna say thanks for registering, and click here to watch the webinar. And then this button has to be redirected to the next page. So here you just make sure you select webinar broadcast, because once they click on this call to action, they need to be redirected to the broadcast page where they should be able to view your webinar.
Fifth, on the webinar broadcast page, ensure the pre-recorded video is visible and functioning.
Again, you can play around with the rest of the content, updating your logo and colors and all that stuff. We are only talking about the configurations here, so I will skip those kind of things. The next one is webinar broadcast. And on the webinar broadcast page, the video that we uploaded while creating this webinar funnel will show up here. But again, you will be able to change this video from here if you want. But right now it looks good to me. So let's just publish this.
Step 5. Add a countdown timer for engagement. First, on the webinar broadcast page, add a countdown timer element. Set the timer to match the webinar duration.
Then I would suggest you, if you have something to sell or something to sign up after the webinar, then you can add that as well. So for that, what we'll have to do here is we need an element that says countdown timer. So let's just look for it. Here it is, countdown, or you can always use the minute timer, I think. So let's just use this one. Okay, so for example, if my pre-recorded webinar is for, let's say, 15 minutes, so what I can set this countdown timer to 15 minutes. And then what I can do is, as soon as the 15 minutes get over, which means expiry action, I can show and hide an element.
Second, configure the expiry action to show a call to action button after the timer ends. For example, the button could say click to sign up and link to a purchase or sign up page.
In this case, what I can do here is I can add an element that will be, let's say, a button. I will add a button here. Yeah, copy looks good, but you can always update it to, let's say I want to say click to sign up, which looks good, and I'm gonna link it with the pop-up, and on the pop-up you can put your sign up form or any kind of, if you want to do a sale on the end of the webinar. And then what we can do here is, as soon as it gets expired, I'm gonna show an element. We are not gonna hide an element. Instead, we are gonna show an element which would be expiry action. This is going to be this. Let's just say
hide the countdown timer from viewers for a cleaner look while keeping it functional in the background.
And then it's going to be show element. I think I will have to reload the page, so let's just reload the page. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm actually going to hide this button so that we can show it after this timer gets expired. So let's go to the layers, and then under the pages here we have this button. Let's just click on it and hide it, so it gets hide. And on the expiry action on this timer, we can show the element of this button. So what's going to happen is, if your webinar is of 15 minutes, then after 15 minutes, as soon as they finish the webinar, it's going to show that call to action that says click to sign up, and when they click on it, it's going to show up a pop-up where you will have your sign up form. Also, just make sure that here expired cookie days, we actually don't want to.
Step 6. Publish and test your funnel. First, publish your funnel.
We just want to expire the cookies right after they reload the page, because if you have put like 1 days, then within the 1 day, if a person reopens this page, the countdown timer, it will directly start from there. It will not actually restart. So if you have just make it empty, then it's going to be restart. So now that everything looks good, and I'm gonna actually make it 15 seconds because we can actually test it. So I will actually make it 5 seconds so that we can test it. So now I'm gonna make it.
Second, test the entire funnel by registering, confirming, and viewing the webinar to ensure all steps work seamlessly.
Publish. and now we will be testing the whole funnel out. So let's just go here, and the URL of our webinar is webinar.ghlboy.com. Let's just open up the funnel. Here we have this funnel. I'm gonna submit this GHL boy. The font is going to be anything. The email would be test@ghlboy.com. I consent. Hit submit. So here we are. Thanks for registering. Click here to watch the webinar. So as soon as I click here, I'm going to be on the broadcast page with the timer of 3, 2, 1. As soon as the timer gets finished,
Third, adjust any design or functionality issues based on your test.
to be ended at 30 minutes. And then one other thing that we will have to do is, I just made it open so that we can test it. I will actually hide that timer as well so that nobody sees that timer as well. But on the back end, it will be functioning. As soon as it gets open, we are going to hide the countdown timer as well. Right now, I will make it 5 seconds so that we can again test it. So let's just go there, and it's not on this page. It's actually on the webinar broadcast page. So let's just switch to that broadcast page. And then we have to go here under the layers, the pages section, and under the first column here we have a minute timer. So I'm gonna actually hide it. Let me just publish. As soon as it's get published, so I'm gonna reload this page. This time we will not be seeing that countdown timer. It will.
Tips for success. First, keep your form fields minimal to encourage signups. Second, use engaging visuals and clear CTAs to guide users through the funnel. Third, regularly update your pre-recorded content to keep it relevant. Benefits of a pre-recorded webinar funnel. Scalability. Reach unlimited attendees without hosting live sessions. Convenience. Allow users to access the webinar at their preferred time. Lead nurturing. Collect contact information for follow-ups and conversions. Congratulations! You now know how to create a pre-recorded webinar funnel in GoHighLevel. This powerful tool can help you engage your audience and scale your business effortlessly. Have questions? Drop them in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more guides, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.